Mm, I'm going to record a video to summarize issues in Agentforce, but also some findings I made last night on a project. You might remember that I already added a Stack Exchange question about my hardness of finding out where to put instructions, how to size and scope topics and actions. What fits into a topic? What is the job to be done? Is it a topic or an action? I don't want to talk about this topic at all, but I just want to tell you that um, using the Akiva Lab Agentforce open source project, my org butler, I was constantly iterating on that. My org butler has um, a lot of actions. Here you see it, I show you in the IDE, calling various IDEs, rendering diagrams, exploring org schema, doing SOCL, searching the web forever. And in the beginning, as the first iteration was built using OpenAI Assistant, there was only one topic which covered that all. Um, and that was actually working neatly. And then later on, I I went over to multiple topics. And with multiple topics, I actually liked having multiple topics because, like with Apex classes, you should not put everything into one big class. You should separate the concerns. But then I saw overlaps. And just recently, I was heavily using TestingCenter, which, by the way, I find very suboptimal and very frustrating, and like to an extent non-deterministic that it's actually useless for testing. I just want to have that on the record. But I made some experimentations yesterday, and I want to show you that. So I let AI create me test center topics for both a one topic world and also a multi-topic world. And when I ran them, just assume the number is quite good. I see that with multiple topics, I constantly have this overlap because overlap of topics is quite common. I can say this is also true for customer Agentforce projects. So it's not easy to actually I don't know what I did wrong. Sorry about that. Um, I found it hard to make them overlap free, and this amount of overlap for sure also led to somewhat worse numbers. This is the same thing, but with a single topic. For example, like one topic, if you have a customer project, the customer packages one single topic for their package. So there's always a pass, and then in the end we get a little bit better results. Yeah, there's not so much more to say on that. So from your end, there's probably not so much learning. But what I want to show you is no. First, I want to tell you that making the testing center actually reflect the world is really hard. In comparison to Apex tests, it's not like isolated. If you, for example, like here, create a field, when you run the testing center again, the field already exists and the test fails. It's very data dependent, so you cannot, like in Apex tests, in any way reset your world that you test. There's also something which I found very brutal that even in Agentforce, there's context, that which utterance did we had in the conversation before. You cannot have anything of that with test center. So you're really restricted to very limited cases. Um, that's one thing, but I also found it very frustrating to actually find out why do I have fails and how to fix it. Sometimes I found simply my test scenario was wrong. I expected the wrong actions, or the expected response was not matching what the AI critic um, marked as a pass. And doing this manually I found it even impossible for like 20 actions. And then I found something out which was really dramatic. I'm I'm using GitHub Copilot Pro or Cursor, whatever you use, and g- I was giving it my CSVs. I was giving it access to all the topic descriptions and instructions and the actions functions. I was giving it the CSVs also for the problems, like the test results. You can download them here. And then I was asking it, what's going on? Help me. What is the problem here? Is it like the limitations of TestingCenter? Is it like my tests being bad, or is it my instructions being bad? And you see this long conversation, it actually could cope with a complexity that I could not cope with anymore. So, like, those numbers were like 40% before I started using AI coding. So you see the AI keeping track of how this improved. And I think this is noteworthy. It's not like optimal. I really believe that Salesforce needs to give us better evaluation and testing tools. But for the time being, I found vibe coding or AI copilots actually help me with improving that. Yeah, and this is all I wanted to share in this video. Thanks for watching.